Have you ever wanted to see what it looks like when the Walt Disney World Resort is practically empty? Well, what if we told you that you would have been able to see that on a holiday weekend? No joke. And folks, we're here to tell you that it's getting worse for Disney leadership as they search desperately for anybody to come and constitute a crowd inside their theme parks. Shout it out loud, Disney World is empty, and it started with Labor Day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy to have you joining us again. It's a lot of fun when we get to share our time with you and share the news. And the news today is that nobody is going to Disney in September. It is a ghost town, and we're not talking about the Haunted Mansion. We're going to bring on a panel of experts. Before we do, folks, consider clicking the like button, and let's get straight to it right now. Walt Disney World, they have driven the joy out. The problem with this one is, though, folks, that if they drive out the joy, the fun, the beauty of Disney, well, they can't just make another game. It's not that simple. They'll have to suffer through this for 30 years because when you destroy the things that are amazing about a park, those things are parked there for a very long time.
Have you, I know we're going to get into this, but just sort of on that topic, did you guys see like Nolan's post from yesterday where he went to, I believe it was Disney World, right? And he was like, Tiana's Bayou crashed like 4 times. The Mama Odie animatronic at the end was only having its mouth move. I was like, dude, this is such a disaster. And that's like somebody I know on the ground. Like,
no, Spencer, he's lucky he's got on it. I've tried to go now twice to get on that attraction. And I'm sorry, 3 times. And each time it didn't happen because before my boarding was called, the ride broke and didn't come back on for hours. And I was like, I'm just leaving.
Really? So they're just like, so they give you like the lightning lane, the fast pass or whatever with that really awful
No, they don't give you that.
They don't even give you that anymore?
No.
They just say good luck? What is happening?
All right, well, let's take a look at the defense that's coming out. This is from Mike over at Blog Mickey. Mike is the same guy who said that Tiana's Bayou Adventure is the necessary downgrade we had to have. Yes, I know, but this is the defense that's going on. After this story, folks, if you're interested in sticking around, we're going to talk about the defense that's happening for Star Wars, the video game, Outlaws, because there is a post-launch PR push that is mirroring this. So get ready. We've got 2 more entities inside Disney that are struggling, and they do not want you to believe it is so. Walt Disney World's least crowded holiday retains title. That is the title out of Blog Mickey. Here's what it says, and then we will debunk it. We're on the pumpkin spice side of Labor Day, and some people seem surprised at how low crowds were during the 3-day weekend. If you've been following this channel, you know that I've predicted this will be the historic low in terms of attendance September since the pandemic. So none of you out there who watch this channel are surprised at all. In this article, we'll take a look at holiday wait time trends for Walt Disney World, including a look at Walt Disney World's least crowded holiday. And this is going to be the defense. You all, by the way, have heard me explain what's really going on. And those have been accurate. We're not trying to be braggadocious, simply saying that we know what's going on. We've told you what's going on. It came to happen. It came to be. And now the others are out there giving you some sort of defense that will flush it away. Average wait times by holiday at Walt Disney World. The claim here is going to be that, that Labor Day has always been the lowest wait time holiday of the year. And I'm going to tell you how they pull this logic out in just a second.
I can already hear it. I can already hear it. Keep going.
we'll put bets in the background as to what I'm going to say about this. It's not difficult. And so to fall for this article, you have to have a bit of either low IQ or very, very low skepticism. So Christmas week, pay attention to that. Christmas week, 56 minutes average wait time. New Year's Eve, 54-minute wait time. Thanksgiving week, 51-minute wait time. Christmas Day, President's Day, Thanksgiving Day, you get the idea. And then we're supposed to believe, you get down to the 4th of July, by the way, which is at 34 minutes. And this story that 4th of July is supposed to be the least attended holiday outside of Labor Day is a bunch of nonsense. What they're doing is they're pulling.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
So Marvin, the way they're doing this is they're pulling only data from Thrill Data, and we'll show it in just a second. They're pulling only wait times after the pandemic when things have not been normal. Pre-pandemic, 4th of July was so crowded at Disney that it would be shoulder to shoulder. And post-pandemic, crowd levels have been decreasing year after year after year, and that's throwing things off because now people are only going during those top winter months, which is kind of strange. 4th of July is peak vacation time. For 4 decades, we've seen people flood Disney World for the 4th of July. Just because that's changed in the last 2 or 3 years should not make this be, you know, a legitimate list. So here's the paragraph we need, folks, and I'm going to show you what we're talking about here. It says, you get the point. Basically, the busiest holidays are New Year's, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. That isn't groundbreaking news or data, but the most relevant part of the data for this article is that Labor Day stands alone as having the lowest average wait time of any major holiday. Labor Day has an average posted wait time of just 25 minutes across all Walt Disney World attractions. And of course, they're only measuring post-pandemic. Now, how do they make this be? Well, let's go back up to those key words that we saw before. Christmas week, Thanksgiving week. If you were to measure Labor Day weekend, not Labor Day itself, you would see a significant increase. Why? Because Labor Day itself is an odd holiday in that it is the day in which the families are often driving back home or flying back home, not being in the parks. It essentially gives people what they'll usually take as a 4-day weekend where they'll take off Friday, they have Saturday, Sunday, and then they fly or drive back on Monday, which is the holiday. So by limiting it to only the Monday and not the full weekend, that is how you artificially drive it down to the bottom and hide this very important fact. Folks, welcome to Thrill Data, where they were pulling the data originally. Here is the big reveal. Let's pull back the curtain. Let's find what Oz actually is. The story they don't want you to know is that, yes, indeedly doodly, as I told you, August did indeed set a record for lowest wait time since Disney World went back to regular operations. So if we go all the way back to October of 2021, remember that 2021, Disney did not operate in a normal way. And you can see that based on all these weird numbers here. They had plexiglass up. They had you going through all these crazy protocols at the rides. None of the wait times are real for 2021 because everything was so strange. It took until we get to the holidays of 2021 and then really 2022 before we get actual data again. And since that has started and created the post-pandemic era, guess what? August was indeed the lowest attended month ever in those last years based on wait time. And just as we predicted, September is obliterating it. So this is taking into effect just the 3 days so far, which are in fact the holiday weekend. This September could be unlike anything we have seen in modern Disney history. In fact, it may actually beat the pre-pandemic era where there was a September that nobody went for some reason. It's just absolutely empty. It may actually beat that, and we could be looking at a collapse in attendance at Disney, and this will affect the stock. This will affect the shares. No financial advice, but panel, I'll hand it to you. Let's start with Marvin, just because Marvin attends the parks so often. Marvin, you practically live there, even though we never know exactly where you are. I don't know, is it Sesame or Avenue Q? I don't know. Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Universal, you're everywhere. I think I saw you at Dollywood the other day, maybe Silver Dollar City. But Marvin, what do you make of the collapse in attendance and the defense that's out there that, oh, no, Labor Day has always been empty. Labor Day weekend, empty.
There's a few things that you need to consider also about why this Labor Day should have been bigger than any Labor Day that came before it. You have a new attraction in Magic Kingdom, supposedly, that's supposed to be this big new e-ticket ride. They pushed back the start date for the International Food and Wine Festival at Epcot this year. Normally starts in July. Now it started right at the tail end of August. So Labor Day weekend was one of the first food and wine weekends of the season, which is typically a massive, massive attended event. And Labor Day weekend, I mean, look, schools in up in the Northeast, they typically don't go back until right after Labor Day. So it's kind of that last week of August, first week of September, you're seeing people from Jersey, you're seeing them from New York, you're seeing them from all over up there, and they're coming down to have that last vacation, that last hurrah of summer before the kids go back to school. You're not seeing that anymore. And yes, as you said, September always was historically the month that I would always tell people to go. That was when they used to do free dining. They used to give the free dining plan to resort guests. Then they started making it more affordable for Europeans to come over in the September, October months. So you started seeing the crowd levels go up with people that were coming down for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. And now I think you're starting to see that return to form, that return to this being just the depths of dead in the midst of autumn. And people from Europe aren't even coming over anymore. And let me tell you, it's not that people aren't going to theme parks. I went to opening night of Halloween Horror Nights the other night, and you couldn't move. Everything had a wait time that was over 100 minutes long at some points. I mean, it was crazy go nuts. So, yeah, this is a major problem for Disney, whether the Pixie Dusters want to admit it or not.
Right, and this is what they're burying. This is the attempt to bury the lead, I think. Jonas, August was the record-breaking lowest attendance, if we are to judge wait times, in the post-pandemic era, and September appears ready to obliterate that into distant history and faded memory as we all gawk at just how empty this could be. I'm going to tell you, I went let's see, late July. I was at Epcot, and I've never seen Disney that empty. I'm talking about, and we've got video that's up on. There's actually stock footage now here on the channel where there's nobody in the shots because there was nobody there. It was
even
totally
in those brand
empty.
new areas, Pro. Like even in Dreamers Point, I took a picture of. I take a picture whenever I'm there and I see it with nobody is around that Walt Disney statue. They don't even have a PhotoPass person over there anymore. I call it Lonely Walt because you just see a tumbleweed blow by.
Well, to be fair, he needs privacy while he's doing his business.
Yeah, Space 220 is often half empty now. You don't need reservations for the most premier Epcot restaurants because they're half empty. You can walk up to them.
I've heard that the spirit of Imagineering is still alive at Space 220. It's just too bad that none of that spilled into the rest of the park.
Clearly, they're on the right path, Jonas. They need to destroy as fast as they can Main Street and Tom Sawyer Island and Rivers of America. Like the changes they've made really are popular. Yeah, yeah. And maybe urinate on them while they can because they love them so much.
Oh yeah, just to honor the legacy.
Dreamer's Point is the antithesis of Walt's dream, right, Jonas?
That absolutely, it is the antithesis of everything that Walt stood for. As that poor girl from Imagineering. I mean, she's a woman. I don't know why I call her a girl. I just look at something like this, and if I was a Floridian and I had faith in Disney, if I was still a Floridian, I should say, still Florida man at heart, I would love to know that no one was at Disney because that would be the best time to go to the park.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, those are the days that you live for. Like you check the wait times and you're like, oh, there's no wait on Space Mountain. Let's go to Disney today.
Yep. By the way, I need to point this out. Jay, who has knowledge of the parks in a way that no one else does. Wait times are inflated. They are worse than what is being reported.
There's nobody at the parks. Listen, the parks are empty right now, and there's no way. And I'm not giving financial advice, but there is no way that the most important, valuable, lucrative asset that Disney holds, it's 33% of their entire profit. For the entire company, Disney World,
it's like
there's no way this is not going to affect them. Yeah,
it's so expensive to go. It's so expensive to go.
Well, that's the whole thing. Growing up in Florida, it was, I remember when it was $60 to get into the park, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a little high, guys." And now we're, $100 more than that.
And look at their hot ticket events. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is, I think, almost more than a regular full day park ticket for like 4 or 5 hours. It's insane. Meanwhile, Universal sells the frequent Fear Pass for Halloween Horror Nights, which is what I have this year, which is basically a season pass that lets you go to the event pretty much every night. And Universal has become much more welcoming and much more accessible than Disney has been in recent years. And I think that's why you're starting to see the shift in dynamics. And I mean, just wait till next year when Epic Universe opens its doors.
Right. The thing that I often say is that the dream of the 90s Disney is alive and well at Universal Studios right now. It's that vibe of 90s Disney, that era when Hollywood Studios was still kind of up and coming. It was fun. I mean, I think that they would crucify a Hollywood Studios if it came out today, like as a teeny tiny little park that's only a half a day park, and you could do everything in one day and all that kind of stuff. But right now, Universal Studios Orlando seems to be there, and Islands of Adventure is an absolute blast. And they do have things that, I mean, Harry Potter lands notwithstanding, which are just amazing on their own. The rest of the park is still great, and you could find all kinds of fun things to do, and you're not on your phone all day long. Maybe that's an insult to the Universal Studios app, but Disney, they require you to have your face in your phone all bleeping day.
That's the first time we went to the bleep with Jonas. Let me get Tabitha in real quick. Tabitha, is this Disney defense going to work? Do you think that they're actually going to be able to memory hole how bad this is by saying, "Oh well, nobody came on these days before either. Nobody ever loved Disney, so we're all good."
I mean, at this point, you just can't believe. It's kind of hard to have hope, have faith in anything that anybody's saying or doing. It's like, unless you go there and see things with your own eyes and document it for yourself, it's like you just. I mean, maybe I'm going to spin off, but can you repeat your question? I might go on a tangent.
The Disney defense. So this is what we've seen from so many different franchises, from so many different genres and mediums. But now it's here at Disney World where there's nobody there, and the defense says, "Well, nobody ever came anyway. This was always an empty holiday. So don't worry about it."
I mean, from what I've heard, no. So I'm new to the world of theme parks. Like when I was growing up, it was like luxury. Like I went to Disney once when I was 5 because we happened to be there because we thought my dad was going to get stage, and I think my grandmother got us tickets because we couldn't afford it. So like, but that was back in the 90s. So but like I do have an annual pass and I enjoy going. I think that there's also It's so expensive, so it's like hard to recover from things. I think there's also a difference too in the fact that there is still magic there, but for people who keep up with this and I don't mean this disrespectfully, it's just more of practicality, but it's like for people who watch this regularly and they study this, who also know the history of things, it takes the magic that is still there. Now, the financial aspect aside, because there's no magic in spending over $100 to go stand in line all day in the hot sun. There's no magic for that. But I think it also depends on the kind of person and whatnot. Like when I go, because it's still new for me, the wait lines, I just think it's like, well, that makes sense. There's a lot of people here. Whenever I go, it's very rare, I will say for me, to not see a bunch of people at Magic Kingdom, because from what I've heard, that's the most popular Disney not studio park.
That's correct.
But I mean, it is true that they will inflate the lines. I don't know why. I like to just judge by my eye. I do not like being on my phone all day when at the parks. That was something that was new to me too. Everybody's on their phone and I'm like, hello, there's a parade or there's fireworks.
You don't have time for that. You got to get reservations in.
Yeah, and so I just don't understand that part myself. I think that takes the magic out of it as well. But I'm the kind of person, like when I would look at the line and I see, that there's about 8,000 people waiting in line, I'm like, oh, well, obviously this is a busy ride. Let's pull a Jen Psaki and circle back later, okay? So when they say that, I have noticed though that when they say it's a 15-minute wait, I'm like, is it though? And that's where it's like between like the 20 to 15-minute wait, I'm like, it's probably going to be shorter. But like that is true. There was one time I went on I believe it was the Rise of the Resistance, and well, fortunately it was raining and the ride had broken down again, and decided to come back around and like check with the people that were there, and they're like, oh, we have somebody working on it, and like literally just sat right outside the ride and waited for about 12 minutes, and then everything was fine. And so, then of course all the herds of people come, but a lot of times, even though you're passing by, like you'll see lines, you won't see lines. I'm not necessarily part of the world of keeping track of all of the numbers. I go by my experiences, by my observation. And from what I can tell, there is always 1,000,004 people at Disney. Mm-hmm. May not be as many as it used to be, but there are, especially Magic Kingdom, it is always packed. And the one time that I've been where it was like, wow, this is like nice. Like there was still a lot of people, but like you could breathe. You could walk 6 feet and not bump into a scooter. Like it was beautiful. It was a magical moment.
Oh, wait till you experience this month, Tabitha. It's gonna be like that.
So I don't have knowledge. I will say I don't have knowledge of like what it used to be like. I've heard whispers in the wind about how ever since COVID, the parks have changed. Like for whatever reason, the fireworks shows are the huge draw to Disney. Like people will just come for the fireworks, which they're beautiful. They're great and everything like that. I'm not spending 100 and whatever. I'll just stand in the parking lot and watch the fireworks, But But I heard that
banned from the Polynesian any moment if you keep this up. I know it's coming.
You can see the Magic Kingdom fireworks brilliantly from the ferry boat dock at Transportation and Ticket Center.
Exactly.
And it's gone. And the end is here. Another video of pure excellence in the can. But what a joy we've had with you. We hope you feel the same. And if you did, consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment right on down below and let us know your thoughts. Are you willing to spend the money to go to the House of Mouse, the most magical place on earth, the place where dreams are made? If there's nobody else there to wait in front of you in line, please, folks, don't spend your money on Genie Plus if the park is empty. There's literally no value. We beg of you, don't waste your money on that. Anywho, Disney's going to get mad. Folks, we've got to end it there. We hope you're having a great time. Get out there and make the world a better place. There's nothing better than doing just that. And it might be, in fact, what you were made to do. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.